Considering he's been a Ferrari-affiliated driver since 2017, there were some who were surprised that Antonio Giovinazzi did not get the nod to join Ferrari when it was announced that Sebastian Vettel would be leaving the team at the end of the year. But Giovinazzi himself was philosophical about being passed over, accepting that an up-and-down first full season in the sport hadn't been enough to convince Ferrari to give him the drive. Of course, if the Ferrari call came this year, I would have gone straight away, but in my career, I always had some sliding doors. I only had one season, he added. I know that Leclerc also had one season and then went to Ferrari straight away, but from my side, I think if you look back, I struggled also in the second part of the season with the car, so even though I grew as a driver, the results were not really there. But I was really happy to be part of that list of drivers to have maybe that possibility to take that seat. I'm still part of Ferrari, and Binotto says that they still follow me and follow especially my career, which is something really great, said Giovinazzi. I'm sure if I can fight like I always did and do a lot of work like I am doing now, I know that I'm still a Ferrari driver, so I'm sure I can maybe have a future opportunity. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc will have the chance to shake off the rust ahead of the delayed start to the 2020 F1 campaign when Ferrari hold a private test at Mugello on Tuesday. Due to restrictions on testing of current machinery, Ferrari will run the 2018 car, the SF71H, on Pirelli Academy tyres with no restrictions on mileage at the Italian track. It will come after Leclerc took the 2020 Challenger, the SF1000, for a spin around the streets surrounding Ferrari's famous base Maranello last week, 3.5 months since that car ran on the final day of pre-season testing at Barcelona. On the eve of the new season, F1 has launched the #WeRaceAs1 initiative aimed at tackling the biggest issues facing the sport and global communities, the fight against COVID-19 and the condemnation of racism and inequality. During the race weekend in Austria, teams and F1 partners will be saying thank you to key workers and individuals by displaying rainbows on cars and around the circuit. There will also be visual displays of support in the fight against racism, with F1 set to announce later this week clear pledges to increase diversity and opportunity in the sport and the setting up of a Formula One task force. Daniel Ricciardo's decision to leave Renault and sign for McLaren for 2021 has been one of the biggest stories of the year. And on this week's episode of the F1 Nation podcast, the Australian explained why he made the tough decision to switch teams before seeing the true nature of the 2020 form book. According to the 7-time race winner, the decision whether to stick or twist after just 1 year at Renault with another remaining came down to excitement. Obviously, the reality is you get pitches from whichever team is talking to you, and to some extent, especially now without having any races and any kind of proof other than last year, you kind of have to believe. It's kind of what pitch do you maybe even believe is too much, but what pitch excites you more than the other? You're going with obviously what you feel and think at the time. Who knows? If I go back to last year is our best reference for now. They were the team that made the most noise. Mercedes won the championship again, but it was quite clear to most that McLaren was the team that made the biggest step out of all. So that was encouraging obviously for them, and that's really all you can kind of base it off and their pitch for the future. Talking about it is certainly tough, as it was by no means an easy decision, as you can imagine, and not having really much to gauge from this year was pretty difficult. Lewis Hamilton has announced the launch of the Hamilton Commission, a new research partnership aimed at making motorsport as diverse as the complex and multicultural world we live in. The announcement comes amid global protests around the world in support of Black Lives Matter, a campaign which Hamilton, the first black superstar in Formula One history, has vocally supported. Despite my success in the sport, the institutional barriers that have kept Formula One highly exclusive persist. It is not enough to point to me or to a single new black hire as a meaningful example of progress. Thousands of people are employed across the industry, and that group needs to be more representative of society. It's for this reason that Hamilton said he wanted to start the Hamilton Commission in partnership with the Royal Academy of Engineering. Lewis Hamilton says he is extremely positive that change will come after attending a Black Lives Matter protest in London on Sunday, just hours after he announced he is setting up a new commission to help tackle inequality in motorsport. They've won the last 6 Drivers' and Constructors' Championship crowns and looked the quickest team in pre-season testing. And now Mercedes have fired another warning shot to those looking to dethrone them this year as they confirmed a slew of car upgrades for Race 1 in Austria. The Silver Arrows clocked both the fastest time and the most laps of any team during testing in Barcelona back in February, while also unveiling their innovative new DAS device. And though the COVID-19 pandemic has caused delays and an early introduction of the annual F1 factory shutdown, Mercedes technical director James Allison revealed in a video posted by Mercedes on Friday that the team have still made significant progress in refining the W11 since we last saw it turn a wheel. We haven't yet done a single race, but actually quite a lot of time has passed since we launched this car. And if you imagine where the launch car was and the car that would have gone to Australia, that was frozen about around Christmas. So that was the whole of January, the whole of February, March, all making the car quicker in the wind tunnel and also in the design departments. With Formula 1 pushing back its 2021 rule changes to 2022, Ross Brawn says the sport would be foolish not to use the team to refine the rules. The sport was set for a major overhaul next season, swapping to ground effect aerodynamics in a bid to improve the racing. That change though has been pushed back to 2022. We're not going to waste that time. It will be foolish to sit on our hands for 12 months, so why not refine the design of the 2022 car while we've got the opportunity? Nobody is working on it. It's not big changes, it's things that people have highlighted where there's ambiguity or they can see ways of getting around the object of the regulations or not achieving the objective or the regulations. Sebastian Vettel won't be looking for a 2021 F1 team, but instead opt to take a sabbatical, says his former teammate Mark Webber. Vettel is out of a job at the end of the season after announcing that he will be leaving Ferrari. The German cited the lack of a common desire to continue working together as his reason to end his relationship with Ferrari after 6 years. According to former Formula 1 driver Webber, who raced with Vettel at Red Bull during the Germans' championship winning seasons, Vettel will take 2021 off. I think Vettel is going to take a year off. He can take it easy now. I really don't expect to see him on the grid next year. Maybe he can think about 2022 after this season. Kimi Raikkonen's performance for Lotus was so good that he almost bankrupted them thanks to a performance clause. After leaving Ferrari at the end of 2009, Raikkonen took a break from Formula 1 and went to compete in rallying as well as appearing in NASCAR. He would make his return to the sport though in 2012, signing a 2-year contract with Lotus. His performances for the team were exceptional, scoring 390 points across the 2 years, which included 13 podium finishes and 2 race wins. The results were so amazing, in fact, that Raikkonen almost bankrupted the team due to a bonus he had for every World Championship point which he scored. Renault won't necessarily turn to a big name to replace Daniel Ricciardo, with Cyril Abiteboul saying Guan Yu Zhou or Christian Lundgaard could be fantastic options. Renault is in the hunt for a new driver for the 2021 season after Ricciardo's announcement that he's off to McLaren. Even though not a single race has been run in 2020, Ricciardo made an early call to swap teams come the end of the season, a move that Abiteboul has publicly questioned. World champion drivers Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso have been linked to Ricciardo's vacant seat. However, Renault is in no rush to sign the Aussie's replacement. Instead, Abiteboul says he wants to see how Renault's juniors, Zhou and Lundgaard, perform in this year's Formula 2 championship. We want to see what the pace of Guan Yu Zhou, what the pace of Christian, their competitiveness. They could be fantastic options, the Renault F1 managing director told motorsport.com. While this year's cars will be carried over into next year's championship, there will be a slight change. Formula 1 has announced that the dimensions of the floor have been changed to rein in any gains in downforce over the off-season. Added to that, teams will also have to cut a triangular shape out of the floor in front of the rear tires. This will reduce the overall level of downforce produced by the floor. The reason for the changes is that Pirelli will continue with the 2020 tires next season, and if the teams find too much downforce between the campaigns, it could mean the tire pressures would need to be in a range that could be dangerous. It is a small but very big change according to Racing Point's technical director. It's a huge change, believe it or not. A very small change, relatively speaking, to the floor has had quite a significant impact on the performance of the car. It is not just a redevelopment of the floor, unfortunately, it's a redevelopment of almost the front to back aerodynamics to try to recover it. So, it became quite clear, quite quickly, that our focus has to turn to 2021 because of that. So that was the video, guys. Hope you all liked it. If you did, like the video, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing that. It just gives us a little bit of motivation, and that would be really helpful to us at this stage. And yeah, this is technically our first video, so we're not sure if you like the format or not. So just let us know in the comment section what you think of the format, and if you have any other suggestions whatsoever, then let us know in the comment section below. We read each and every single comment. So that was it. Have a great day and thank you for watching.